For most of my life, I thought success was the goal. Not because I wanted fame, not because I wanted to impress people, but because I genuinely believed that success would solve a lot of problems. Success meant more income, more opportunities, more freedom, more security in my life. And if I'm honest, there were seasons where I measured my life almost entirely by outcomes. How much that I earned, how much that I produced, how much I accomplished or felt that I was accomplishing, how much progress that I was making. And in some ways, that mindset definitely helped me. It pushed me to work hard. It pushed me to grow. It pushed me to take responsibility for my life. But lately, I've realized that my success is a smaller idea than I once thought it was. Because success asks one question: what can I achieve? Stewardship, it asks a different question: what have I been entrusted with? Those aren't the same thing. A person can be successful and still be a poor steward. A person can accumulate wealth while neglecting their family, build a business while neglecting their health, gain influence while losing their integrity, achieve impressive things while becoming someone they never actually intended to become. I've seen examples of that. And if I'm honest, I've seen traces of it in myself as well at different points along the way. Because achievement has a way of demanding more from you. Once you hit a goal, once you reach it, another one appears. Once you climb one mountain, you start looking at the next one. There's always another level. There's always another target, always another opportunity. Success has no finish line. That's why so many people spend their entire lives chasing it. But stewardship, it changes the conversation entirely, because stewardship, it starts with gratitude. It recognizes that much of what we have isn't something that we created entirely on our own. Our time, our abilities, our opportunities, our relationships with other people, our families, our resources, even the breath in our lungs. These things are gifts. And gifts, they come with responsibility. The older that I get, the more I find myself asking questions that I never used to ask. Not how much can I make, but what am I doing with what I've already been given? Not how do I get more, but am I being faithful with what's already in my hands? Because if I can't steward today's opportunities, why would I assume that I'm ready for bigger ones? If I neglect today's responsibilities, why would I assume tomorrow's success fixes that? That's something I've had to wrestle with. There was a time where I thought the answer to dissatisfaction was always somewhere ahead of me, right? A bigger opportunity, a bigger breakthrough, a bigger win in my life. But many of the lessons God has been teaching me, they aren't about getting more. They're about caring for what already exists. Being present with my family, managing my time wisely, taking care of my health, honoring my commitments, growing in my character, leading well, showing up consistently. None of those things are particularly glamorous. They don't usually attract attention. They don't usually make exacting headlines, right? But they're the foundation of everything else, right? Everything else rests on this foundation. I've also started noticing that stewardship, it creates a different kind of peace. Success often creates pressure, pressure to maintain, pressure to outperform, right? Comparison, pressure to prove yourself again. But stewardship focuses on faithfulness, right? It shifts the goal from proving your worth to honoring your responsibilities. That's different. And that's a much healthier way to live, because I don't control every outcome. I don't control every opportunity or every result. I can control whether I'm present. I can control whether I handle today's responsibilities with integrity. I can control whether I care for the things that God has entrusted to me. That's stewardship. And honestly, I think it's changing the way that I view everything: work, money in general, fatherhood, leadership, faith, success itself. I'm still ambitious. I still want to grow. I still have goals. Those aren't going to go away. But those goals no longer are the center of the story. The center of the story is becoming the more of the kind of man that can be entrusted with what he's been given. Because one day, I don't think that I'll be judged solely by what I accomplished. I think I'll have to answer a way deeper question. What did I do with the gifts, opportunities, relationships, and responsibilities and talents that were placed in my care? And the older that I get, I believe that's the question that matters. Not whether I become successful, not whether I became faithful, not whether I accumulated the most, but whether I stewarded well. Because success may impress people, but stewardship honors God. And I'm learning that stewardship is bigger than success. You know what it is, man. I appreciate you for being here. Till next time. Peace.